Hello and welcome to another update on SUI. Here on the SUI chart, the market has reacted to the support zone I communicated in the last video yesterday. You might remember that the idea was that we get a reaction, a bounce from this support region, which is defined between $3.64 and $3.74. So there is absolutely no sign, or that, let's say, there was no impulsive reaction, I wanted to say, to this support area. Therefore, there is currently no evidence that the orange scenario that we discussed in previous videos is actually taking the lead. Remember, orange count is the one where we could get further upside extensions more directly and thereby avoid a deeper wave 2 correction. My preferred interpretation is that wave 1 formed indeed a price top. That's a larger 5-wave move that might have indeed topped on the 12th of May in wave 5 of 1. So in this particular scenario here, the idea was that all 5 waves already completed, and that might have been here on the 12th of May, but without a break of support, I cannot confirm that. It's a thesis, I'm leaning towards it, but just objectively looking at the chart, I have to rely on the context, because we do have 5 waves up completed, but as I always say, a 5-wave move up does not guarantee a correction, okay? It could very well be that this is part of the larger orange count, which leads to a direct move up. Either way, both counts are bullish. I think that is important to understand. And the nearest support area kept the risk low, because anybody who wanted to set a stop, I mean, you can always set it below the box. That's up to you, of course, how you do that. But from an Elliott wave point of view, a decisive break below support indicates that a larger correction is unfolding. It would have reduced the likelihood of this orange scenario, which is not the preferred one anyway. But the good thing is, when we're dealing with 2 scenarios, one short-term bullish, one short-term bearish, but in both of these, we're actually expecting a bounce. These are actually pretty good setups. So we had here this situation where we were watching for at least a B wave bounce. That seems to be unfolding right now. And then we can get a C wave to the downside. B waves are technically quite difficult, so I would not necessarily expect a precision. A little earlier today, I posted that on our X profile as well. Make sure you follow us here as well for behind the scenes stuff, mindset stuff, additional content, but I posted here. Good reaction and so on. But keep in mind, B waves don't have clearly defined targets, okay? They are often messy, driven more by market emotion and uncertainty than structural precision. That's why they can take many shapes and why patience is key. So I have a resistance area here I share with you. It's between $3.95 and $4.21, but it's more just an area to watch. These B waves, they can overshoot technically, okay, and that makes them so difficult. They could also, it could just be a triangle. And that's the challenge we're dealing with on the Bitcoin chart as well, where Bitcoin might just be forming a triangle actually at the moment. Tricky, just a tricky structure to deal with. But overall, that doesn't change. It would the overall assumption, right? Even if the B wave was to overshoot, it would just be a corrective rally most likely. It wouldn't change the trend. But then, as I said, we don't really have a formal confirmation a larger correction has started. A 3-wave move down keeps the door open for higher. That's why the market doesn't really fully, the market doesn't fully commit yet to the idea that we might have started the larger correction. Had this been an impulsive decline, had wave A been a 5-wave move, it would be much more clearly short-term bearish. But it's a 3-wave move, so while I'm leaning towards that larger wave 2 correction, can't really fully be confirmed. But therefore, I think over the coming sessions, we have to pay attention to this Fibonacci resistance area. Yes, there are also structural resistances, specifically here in the area around $4.10. But let's pay attention to this area. And any impulsive decline from there, specifically a break below $3.64, should indicate the C wave down has actually started. That's the update on SUI. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.